Ellsbury's owed $68.4 million over the next 3 years, including a $5 million buyout for 2021. But the A's show they have payroll maneuverability by their willingness last offseason to offer roughly $25 million annually on a short-term deal to Edwin Encarnacion. So would it be that Ellsbury and Clint Frazier to get up some kind of package with Sonny Gray and Sean Doolittle? Get some pitching. The Yankees need their pitching.
I think it'd be a good move for the Yankees.
I think it's possible, but they're gonna need more than that.
Which way?
Yeah, I was going to say which way.
Well, the Yankees will probably have to give up more. I think the A's will want more than just Ellsbury and Frazier.
Yeah. It's two good players.
Yeah,
and Frazier has a lot of potential.
It's Frazier. The upside is the thing with
and Ellsbury has always been a solid outfielder.
Here's the thing, though. In baseball, he's so much more maneuverability. It's not a
There's
cap.
no salary cap. Yeah, no salary
so
cap.
Is it comparable?
The only limitations in a baseball trade is in the off season you don't have to have 9 guys playing the next day. During the season you do. So when you make a deal, you got to make sure you're made whole or intact by either calling up a guy or moving a guy in a position or anything like that. Here's another one. Now we move outside of the locals, but it involves the Red Sox, so it's like a local. Would the Padres take on Pablo Sandoval, whose nickname is
Giant Panda?
Thank you.
Panda.
Would the Padres take on Pablo Sandoval from the Red Sox to get a package headed by Rafael Devers or Jay Groom for Brad Hand and Yangervis Solarte, ex-Yankee, by the way. So
Played there for a week.
So yeah, that's. But he was traded for Chase Headley, right? And then the other one, and this is more intriguing because it gets to a point that I've seen this name all of a sudden come up in trade rumors. Justin Verlander. All of a sudden, he's not the the tradable kind of guy.
Hot women.
Yeah,
that's what they do to you. Look at Namdi Asamoah. It was like, yo, what happened to him? Then, like a year later, you find out he's married to he had
Kerry
a secret wedding
Washington.
with Kerry Washington. So,
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That explains a lot.
Willing to be a house husband.
Yeah, exactly.
Would the Tigers take on Scott Kazmir, ex-Long Island Duck, by the way, from the Dodgers to get or was he a Skeeter Land? I'll ask you, Tom. Would the Tigers take on? What's that?
You turn into Mark now with Snapple Fest.
That's what I'm saying.
I would have gone with the former Tampa Bay Devil Ray.
Would the Tigers take on Scott Kazmir from the Dodgers to get a package headed by Alex Verdugo for Justin Verlander and Justin Wilson? I don't know. I mean, Verlander's very much on the move.
Kazmir's done, though.
Imagine if you put Verlander on the Dodgers with that staff. Oof.
That wouldn't. That's
be crazy.
more problems for
That
the Mets.
would be. But, again, that goes my point this year with regard to the National League and the Yankees and the Mets being done. I think we pretty much see the writing on the wall. That's going to be Dodgers Nationals, right?
Yeah.
In terms of in the National League, it's Dodgers Nationals. Right?
It depends on the Nats bullpen.
Yeah.
Oh well,
their
that's
bullpen is
crazy.
horrible.
They've done
Crazy
nothing
horrible.
on that. They've done nothing on that front to be like, it's now July 6th, and they haven't said, you know what, we have to. And the prices are only going to get higher, right, on relief pitchers, right? Why don't the Nationals just say, hey, we got to solve that in 2 moves and get. I don't care who's out there. Get 2 guys that can do it.
Also, they still now got past the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah,
Well, and they got Dusty Baker as a
if they-
manager.
Sorry, the second round.
And,
Yeah,
they got
if
Dusty
they
Baker.
don't do something with their bullpen, they won't make it past the ALDS.
And that's absurd because
the NLDS.
they've got that great pitching staff, and they're just wasting everything, and that can't be good for the psyche of those pitchers.
And their offense is like
Daniel Murphy.
Yeah,
Daniel Murphy.
Net
Who would
negative.
have thought?
their offense is great. You know what I hope? Just like what he did to us, I hope he shows up and then doesn't show up in the World Series if they make it to the World
if you were someone who
Good answer. Good answer.
if you were someone who watched the Mets play for all those years, you knew that Daniel Murphy was the worst base runner. He had these blunders on the field, all the things that he did. Then someone worked on his swing or whatever. But people also forget that, number one, Walker's been a pretty good replacement for him. But number two, he said, and it's really the number one reason why they didn't re-sign him. They still offered him a lot of money to come back. He just passed like it was a 1-year deal. He said a lot of anti-gay things to the press at a bad time to be saying anti-gay things.
And in New York?
If this guy held these, number one, if he held these beliefs, and number two, if he held these beliefs to actually say them to the press out loud, that's like you got to back a little bit away. It's the same thing when Jason Isringhausen was, when they had the Mets had their, what they call it? Generation K, they were called. And all of a sudden, Jason Isringhausen, this is when he was a young player coming up. Now, Jay Horwitz, the PR director with the Mets, and they were doing a conference call with all the writers in the room. This was about 25 writers, because it was like kind of pre-internet, but internet. 25 writers in the room, and it was a conference call. And Jay Horwitz says, "Okay, Jason, are you there?" And Jason Isringhausen says on the phone, on the speakerphone, "Hello, Jew boy." It's like, okay, number one, you just said that in front of 25 writers. Number two, you said about 25 writers, 20 of which who probably are Jewish. It's like, you gotta go. And also the next day, he was gone. It was like, it was gone. It's like, you can't. Daniel Murphy, when they were talking about they were gonna have a gay night, gay fan night, gay appreciation, whatever they're gonna call it. And Daniel Murphy said, "It's against the Bible. I don't believe in this." And he goes to the press. It's like, Daniel, you kidding me? Just go over there. Just go over there and go over there.
That's my point. You don't mix politics with sports.
Exactly. So that's why they were looking at things that were not going to have a happy. If he was playing in some outpost somewhere, fine. Atlanta, whatever. He can get away with it and whatever. Bobby Cox got away with driving drunk all the time.
I don't know if he can get away in Atlanta. Atlanta's one place where that's really that's how it's going on over there.
But in New York, it's like, just forget it. You can't have this. You can't publicly have these beliefs.
But why has it become like this? Why has like the media so sensitive? Why do they put so much pressure on these players now to the point where it's like you have to have it written out for you just to make sure you don't make no mistake? Like, why is it like that?
Well, and does anyone ever remember a good quote by Derek Jeter? No, because the man was taught, probably by Cal Ripken, not to say anything interesting. He never said a word that was interesting, and it kind of hurts him now, because you see another one of his rich billionaire friends just backed out with the Marlins deal, because he's like, you're not giving any money, and you want to have all the say. That can't be. And now that must really be bothering Jeter, because he's seeing A-Rod becoming the rising star. He's on TV. He's on Good Morning America now, and it's all
talent show.
Yeah, it's great. All of a sudden, it's like, A-Rod's great. He's dating J-Lo. It's like, he's great. We love this A-Rod guy. And it's like, oh my God. And Jeter's like, what do I have to do?
But I mean, he's gonna be known forever.
Yeah.
Derek Jeter. I feel like A-Rod is just like
right. Well, that's the thing.
Yeah,
but you know what? That becomes one of those things. Like, do you want a medal or a monument? Do you want to be known, or do you want to get paid? I want to get paid.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't care if no one ever remembers me. If I can make it that my great grandchildren never have to work a day in their life, that's what I want. As opposed to everyone remember. I mean, there are these guys. I mean, Whitey Ford's still alive, and he was at Old Timers Day. He's 86, 88, and he's done well because he's lived long enough to actually make money for being Whitey Ford. But for the numbers that he put up in his career and how many World Series he's been in and everything, those Yankees might have been every World Series for 15 straight years. They didn't get paid for it. They got nothing out of it. As opposed to, you look at the kind of money that Chuck Knobloch made, or whoever, just insert name here, and it's like, these guys made crazy money. Whereas Whitey Ford went 236 and 106. I mean, he's got 100 more wins than losses in his career. Where does that happen? It just can't happen. And it's just one of those things in terms of playing before money was a thing. It's an odd kind of thing when you look back and you say, I remember there was you look at Willie Mays and Mickey Mantle, and what money could they have made if they were playing today? One time they asked, there was a couple of funny lines. One time they asked Mickey Mantle, what would you say if you paying the money today when you were playing? He'd say, and he said, I'd say to the owner, hello, partner, because he'd own part of the team. His number, and then they also said, I think they said to Willie Mays, or was it Hank Aaron, saying, what would you hit today if you were playing today? What would you hit? He's like, I don't know, maybe 236. And they're like, 236? You're Willie Mays? He's like, I'm 60. So it's a pretty good line.
Here's my thought, though.
Yeah.
Let's just say they had a draft, right?
Right.
Would those MLB players go in like they did a long time ago? You know what I'm saying? Like they stopped baseball for 2 years.
Oh, during the war?
Yeah. They had replacement players, do you think?
Oh, well, during the strike? What do you mean?
No, during World War II.
Oh, yeah, but those weren't good players. I mean, they were guys who were 4F, guys who couldn't fight in the war, whether it was flat feet or whatever it was, and that was
that played, but the good players had to go
to the war.
Ted
yeah.
Williams, I
yeah,
think.
Ted Williams went to two
so
wars.
Do you think if that happened again today, people would do it?
Well, we have wars going on right now because there's no
I'm saying
draft.
though, if there was, it's a thought that's come across
would
my
the
head.
game be different?
No, would they take people out of the game to go serve?
Well,
it's an interesting question that's gone through my head many times.
And that's the difference, because even when you talk about Vietnam and the like, there was a draft going on.
But you had a deferment.
Now it's all it's all voluntary. I mean, it's people who are poor basically going to war. It's all voluntary. It's enlisted men.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like back then, like a Hank Greenberg or whoever, they had to go because you could not be. And also, World War II was a popular war, meaning we got attacked. Pearl Harbor, we had to go. You know, Vietnam was different. Korea was a police action and like. And there was a draft. There is no draft today, as evidence why we're, and you guys are of the age. You guys are of the age where if the draft was on, you wouldn't be in this room, basically. You'd be either on a battlefield somewhere or you're at college now, but a different kind of college. But it was 18 to 30.
I get somebody to fill out a form.
Oh yeah, but so that would be. It would be a different kind of thing. Like Vietnam had the draft on, and there was nothing you could really do. You couldn't. You had to hope for a high number so you wouldn't get called, basically, or you would preemptively join the National Guard or something so as to not have to go, which is what some people did. You get a high number, things like that, or you'd go to Canada. Or you go. We've been at war since nonstop since 2001, and you wouldn't know it. You're shopping, you're working, you're whatever you're doing.
That if they had a draft and players were in the league, would they be taken out? Or they'd be getting special status.
Making the money they make today? There's the owners are that much more powerful today. To like, you want to take my $100 million man and put him in... Well, now that we find out more, a lot of these actors and players that were in the war during World War II they weren't on the... I mean, Yogi Berra was at the Battle of the Bulge. Bob Feller was. But your other guys, like your actors like James Stewart, they were making films and propaganda stuff. And then some of the baseball players were merely just visiting bases in the Pacific at Rim and hey, you want to see me hit a home run kind of stuff. That kind of...
USO kind of...
Yeah. But Yogi Berra fought, Bob Feller fought... Ted Williams might be the greatest pilot of all time. He was in 2 wars. He missed a lot of years. That's why when they look at Ted Williams' home run numbers, he only has 521 home runs.
You said
actually had
actors
800.
too, weren't it? Actors?
Yeah.
So not
Ronald
Warren
Reagan.
Beatty, right?
No, but Ronald Reagan, James Stewart. We're talking World War II. So
he's that
John
old.
Wayne.
Clint Eastwood. He's an old guy.
Williams was 80, but he is not... he would have been... The earliest he would have been like Korea. So I don't think he was in.
Well, that was the draft too. He's
had a very, Clint Eastwood has had a weird kind of career because he was liberal, but then he's very conservative. Now it's an odd kind of thing. The way we see his, he was Dirty Harry. His persona has changed, but yet at the 2008 Republican convention, he spoke to an empty chair and said that was Obama. Like he's had a weird kind of career. He has very liberal films, but yet he also speaks at the convention. He's had a weird.
De Niro's like.
I just watched last week. Nobody saw this, but it was on cable. It was called Danny Collins and starred Al Pacino. It was a really good film. I know no one else has ever seen it, but Annette Bening, Mrs. Warren Beatty, was in it. By the way, it was a very good movie.
You know they're remaking Scarface.
Are they?
You know who's going to play?
Is it going to be a woman or is it going to be?
It's a man.
Every remake today, they either change the color, change the sex, just to make it somewhat different. It's the Black Karate Kid, right? It's the woman Scarface.
Well, what? They made it even worse. They went this remake. They made it they took a step back. Okay, they had an Italian playing it.
The views of Mark Tchaikovsky.
They had an Italian playing a Cuban before, right?
Well, yeah, it was Al Pacino,
Yeah.
And now they're having a white guy play a Cuban.
Who's
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh God.
We don't know that. Leonardo DiCaprio should be Italian too. By the way, that's an Italian name. But we don't know if Leo is actually a human. I think he might be a robot. Not sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
you heard about the story? I'll bring back to sports now. That Leonardo DiCaprio went to.
You can bring it back. His ex-girlfriend was Giselle Bundchen, who's married to Tom Brady. So.
What do you call it? Leonardo DiCaprio was at an Islander game.
Well, Leonardo DiCaprio was a Long Islander. His grandmother lived on Fordham Street in Williston Park.
Really?
Yeah. I remember
when you were growing up.
When I was growing up, yeah.
So you seen him before?
I didn't know who he was, but yeah. I found out when my friend went to buy. Well, my dad's friend went to buy that house. It was Leo's grandmother.
Maternal or paternal?
That's a good question. I don't know, but they found some of his toys in the attic. Had toys in the attic. In the attic, and it had his name on it. Like he had signed his name on the.
Did he sell them, or they give them back?
I don't know how old like a 4-year-old Leonardo DiCaprio's signature goes for. I don't know if it's very legible. If it's So I don't know.
He went to an Islander game, and he has like the hat over his head so nobody can see him during the Islander game. He's with
Kevin Connolly.
Yeah,
Entourage, who made that film about John Spano. So let me say again that the first caller to 516-572-7440 wins a pair of tickets to the Long Island Ducks on Tuesday, July 18th, as the Ducks welcome the New Britain Bees at 6:35 p.m. The Long Island Ducks bring you Atlantic League baseball all summer long at Bethpage Ballpark in Central Islip. For the full schedule, tickets, and other information, you may visit liducks.com. So 516-572-7440 right now to win a pair of tickets. All free, 100% free. You don't have to spend a dime, and the parking's free. Everything's free there. Long Island against Ducks against the New Britain Bees, 6:30.